want you to think back to November 2020. So that was at the beginning of COVID, pre-COVID sort of period, probably well before the existing politicians who were ruling the countries around the world were even in power. They're probably in opposition. November 2020 was the last time the Reserve Bank of Australia dropped the interest rates. Now, the hot news this week is the strong forecast that the RBA is going to drop the interest rate for the first time in, she was at 3.5 years, I think. Math is not my strong point. You wouldn't think I was a commercial realtor, would you? But I work in big, big numbers. The thing to look at is I like the way that Myron Golden looks at things. He says you can't have a one-sided piece of bread. So you can't have jam and butter on both sides. It's got to be one side plain, one side, yeah, with the condiments that you like. I like blueberry jam. What about yourself? So we're going to have a quick talk about what it means to have a rates reduction, why it's happening, and most importantly, what we can do in regards to it. I always have this theory that the Reserve Bank, being a large bureaucratic organisation, tends to be a little bit slow, and I've been critical over the years, trying to say it's the slow response of organisations like the RBA that have a lot of power that cause a lot of problems. In a previous life, I used to have a chain of shopping centres that carried my coin-operated children's machines. So these are the ones that your kids will run in the shopping centre, jump on, Humphrey B. Bear, Bob the Builder, scream out to mum and dad to put $2 in the coin, and the machine goes up and down, sings a song. Made me a lot of money. Gave a lot of stress to parents. The good thing about that is whenever I would go to one of my rides, I would know exactly what the economy was doing. I'd pull the money out of the machine, and how much was in there would tell me what the economy is doing. Is it more than last month? Is it less than last month? Is it more than the year before? Is it less than the year before? And I could make instant decisions based on that solid bit of information. If the economy was doing good, then more people are putting money in. If the economy wasn't doing good, then people put less money in there, and they'd be shaking the machines rather than paying the $2. Frustrating things. Now, the problem for the RBA is they work on a lot of data to make these are big decisions, so they tend to be cautious on time. Now, have a think about one of their drivers being core inflation rate. Inflation generally gets reported every quarter. Okay, well, that's all right. But the thing is, it then takes like 6 weeks for the organization that does the CPI figures to get their reports done and get it through all their managers. And, they all put very little value in it. I will have a blue graph this month instead of a green graph. So I go back and spend 2 days, or 2 weeks sorting that out. Then it gets released. And of course, the RBA is not meeting on the day it gets released. The RBA has its normal schedules days. It likes systems and processes. So when they meet next week, we're almost into March, and they're looking almost at the data from September, which is like 6 months ago. And that's one of the things that I have a concern with the whole process of big organizations. They just take too long. Imagine if you were navigating a ship and you were off by 5 degrees in your navigation. In 6 months' time, you'd be in a whole lot of pain. And that's what I worry about with the delays sometimes with the RBA. In 6 months since September, Australia has had a whole lot of pain in regards to inflation, in regards to businesses, particularly the businesses down South Sydney and Melbourne, New South Wales, Victoria. They are really feeling the pain. Queensland's lucky. We've still got plenty of growth, plenty of energy in the sales. And that's the beauty of having such a big country. There's one area is struggling, another area is doing really well. So that's what is happening. Now, even if the RBA doesn't drop their rates on next week, you'll find that the NAB and Westpac have already dropped their rates. So they have gotten to the stage, they're no longer waiting for the RBA to dictate the terms. The RBA has lost the initiative. They no longer control the landscape. And the sooner they realise that, the better they'll become. It's the banks now who are ruling it. So they know how many applications they got. They know how much income is coming in. They know how many clients are in a situation of bad debts. They have a much better, much faster feel. And they're now, previously they used to wait till the RBA made the decision. Now they make their own decisions independent of the RBA. When a bank drops the interest rate by 0.75%, that's big news. That is almost like saying, the bus has left the train station and I am running as fast as I can to catch it. .75% of a drop is a big change. So they know that there's a lot of pain in a large part of the economy, and some industries are feeling it very badly. For down south, look, construction's got to be the biggest one, and construction will affect supply and demand for housing, as well as to a smaller extent supply and demand for commercial. Commercial tends to have a different cycle to residential, mainly because it takes a lot longer. We're actually at the stage now. These last 2 months, my most common inquiry are from developers. I haven't seen a developer for years. Now, the RBA is about to admit that our economy is tanking a little bit, but the developers are now starting to put their projects together. So that's all right. Life is a wonderful thing when you look at cycles. So that's in regards to what's happening, why it's happening. Is the interest rate in the economy is down. People are suffering. I think the big retail chain that did Katie's, Rivers, Noni B, Autograph, and there's a few others, Rockman's, they've closed their doors. That's a big player in the industry. But once again, balance that up, because on the other side of the coin is some of the other players who are more market filling up their shopping spaces. So if you're a shopping center owner, don't panic too much if you've got three of those chains in there, because you'll probably find pretty quickly, and I'm seeing it already, there's other players coming to take that. It's part of a life cycle of business where some businesses go, other businesses will pick up the slack and run with it and probably do a better job of it. So, what does it mean in regards to commercial property? All right. Firstly, for those who are carrying debt, they're probably starting to smile a little bit. If you drop a 0.5% or 0.75% off your interest rate, that gives you a little bit more room to breathe. So, if you're in the situation where you're pretty strapped for cash and you're really struggling to keep those margins, that's going to give you some relief. Recognize that it's an indicator that the economy is not doing as well as what we would like. Where you want the interest rate, I don't know, it's a hard point. It's probably where it should be, and in the long-term view over the last 30, 40 years, interest is probably about middle of the road. So it's not exceptionally high, exceptionally low. It's just that people aren't used to it. It's a whole new generation sort of suddenly experiencing it. From a commercial point of view, if you're a tenant, when you're redoing your lease and you've got a CPI increase or a market review, then these are probably good things for you. For a landlord, they may find that your increase is going to be a little bit less. Like I said, there's ups and downs. It's all about managing, the inflows and the outflows. The Eastern philosophies talk about yin and yang, and good and evil, and pluses and minuses. But there's differences to both sides. In regards to businesses, those who are doing well probably going to continue to do well, especially if they've kept low debt levels. A lot of good businesses and a lot of cultures don't use a lot of debt. So if you look at in religions, Muslims and Jews don't use a lot of debt. If you look at cultures, the Chinese, the Japanese, Indians, they don't use a lot of debt. So this won't affect them a lot, but it will mean that they can probably pick up some more assets, because some people will start to think, the best of the times have gone. And I get it all the time. Businesses are doing well. They say, oh, no, I'll hold on. And then the economy, ebbs, because every bust is followed by a boom, and every boom is followed by a bust. And by the time they hit the market, the steam's gone out of it. And then they get cranky. Oh, well, it should be worth $1 million. Yeah, well, now it's 800,000. So there's opportunities to be bought. Don't think it's a trend. It may just be a one-off, because, like I said, the interest rates are probably at normal levels. By the time the RBA gets their full act together, the economy's probably resurrected itself and picking up greatly and strongly down south. All right, that's probably my thoughts. Look, recognise I've studied economics, but I'm not an economist. I'm an entrepreneur. I run businesses. Interest rates and what the RBA does in the economy is something I have a fair bit of interest in, because it's just a business driver. Give me your own thoughts on here. I'd love to have a good, vibrant discussion. I'm always happy to have a bit of argy-bargy and be told I'm wrong, and learn more things accordingly. And I hope you're doing the same. So please subscribe, and next time I come up with an epiphany of what the world is on about, you'll get notification that I've got other thoughts. Till next time, take care and God bless.